Greetings one and all, my name is Lancer and welcome to another Bingcap. Pretty sure I said this last season as well, but this has felt like a really long season. And once again, I can't remember what season this was. Like, it's not that I forget what season it is. I remember when we start, but then it's like once we cut off, it's like, are we still in that season? Yeah, this was the spring season. It feels weird calling this the spring 2024 Bingcap when we're halfway through summer. Well, not really. Technically, summer just started, just in terms of seasonally and weather-wise. Even still, there was a lot of shows that came out that we need to talk about. This was a pretty big season after all. As always, if you're new to my binge caps in this series, pretty much what this is I will be discussing the new shows that came out this season and what I chose to watch and what I thought about it. We're pretty much speedrunning a bunch of reviews. And honestly, a lot of what came out this season was a lot of sequels, a lot of sequel seasons, in terms of what I watched at least. There was a couple one-off stuff that we'll of course talk about. And as always, we'll start with some of the stuff that I didn't really enjoy that much, and then we'll progressively get better and better. And honestly, this season, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff that I didn't flat out dislike, but let's just get right into it. Where do we want to start? We'll start with this one. This seems like a good baseline. Hananoi-kun to koi no yamai, a condition called love. Hotaru Hinase has lived nearly 16 years without romance. She is satisfied alone as long as she can enjoy the little things in life with her beloved friends and family. In her mind, she is not meant to fall in love, nor does she understand the concept. While out with a friend, Hotaru witnesses the severe breakup of her schoolmate Hananoi. Afterwards, she sees him sitting in the snow and holds her umbrella over him. To her surprise, this gesture results in him confessing her feelings for her. Though Hotaru rejects him, Hananoi insists on letting her get to know him. Although she has no romantic feelings towards him, Hotaru believes that by spending more time with him, she will learn to love. This one hooked me pretty early on and pretty quickly lost me. See, I'm looking at a lot of shows nowadays and I'm just like, I get movies are still expensive, but like a short film, this is just one of those ones where I felt like the first episode, I think, is all you need to watch. It's like the first episode on its own is just this cute, kind of fun story. This girl who doesn't understand the concept of love. And there's this guy who's really pretty and slowly introduces to her the concept and slowly introduces her to love and how to love. But of course, this guy has a dark side to him that slowly and slowly gets unleashed as they get to know each other. Does this sound familiar? It should. It's a cute story. If you're really into these type of one-off romance things, you'll probably like it. But as for me, I have no desire to really watch any more than what I watched, which was like 3 episodes. It was cute, didn't hate it, wasn't overly interested in it. Solid 6. Next one, Bartender, Glass of God. I'm not gonna read the description, it's way too long. Pretty much, these two girls work for this company where they're trying to get this bartender to work at this really fancy hotel, and then they finally come upon this guy who's really good at it, and then it's this back and forth on trying to get him to work there. There's a bunch of different stuff. He wants to work at this one place, he doesn't want to work there, there's tensions. Another show that I don't feel like needs to be 12 episodes. I feel like you get the gist of the story in the first like 2. It's cool, makes you want to drink. It's just one of those shows that delves into a concept or an occupation and makes you be like, huh, maybe I want to be a bartender. Except you'll never be like this guy because it's just not how it works. I'll give it an easy 6 as well. Nothing fancy despite the setting. Other than that, probably gonna forget about it. This one, Mysterious Disappearances. You know why you clicked on this. It's the same reason I did. Sumireko Ogawa is a busty bookstore clerk who wants to become a novelist after some writing success in her youth. When strange occurrences start cropping up around the city, she teams up with her flirtatious coworker Ren Adashino to look into them, but Ren is hiding a secret of his own. With their combined skills of occult knowledge, what will they discover as they investigate? Very broad synopsis. I remember being at AX last year in the hall with Giguk and Connor from Trash Taste when they announced this, and the second they showed that key art of the main girl from this and her voluptuous character design, the entire hall, myself included, just started going just fucking monkey brain. Big booba. I meant to come back to this. I watched like the first 3 episodes and then just kind of went away from it. Again, first episode, really strong, I feel like. Because it starts with this woman, like she really wants to be young again because that's where she found writing inspiration in her youth. She gets this book that turns her young, but it's not just that she becomes young again. All the bones and muscles inside her are still the same size as they were. So she gets like shrunk down. She's like bleeding. I'm like, oh God, that's so brutal. But then that never happens again, at least from what I watched. watched. Really strong start. You know why you're watching this. Those scenes are there. I mean, the fucking opening for this show literally has her just exposed. There's probably some more interesting stuff to it. I just have no desire to continue watching it, really. 5 out of 10, middle of the road. I guess I'll get all of the one-off stuff out of the way before I start talking about sequels. This one, Grandpa and Grandma turn young again. Pretty much, the elderly couple, the Saitos, they've been happily married for over 60 years. They have this apple orchard, and one day the tree they planted when they got married suddenly grew a golden apple. Well, it'd be a waste to get rid of it, so they both take a bite. They wake up the next day, and they're in their 20s again. And really, if I had to pick a favorite in terms of just the one-off shows that came out this season that weren't like sequel seasons or anything, I'd have to say this one was my favorite. It was just so wholesome, so sweet. Honestly, the art direction of this had me dying a lot of the times just because their faces, which obviously I'll show in clips here, just like that cat blank stare, just is so funny. It's just one of those ones where, yeah, I'm dreading growing old, but if it could be like this, maybe it's not so bad. But then again, if only we all could be so lucky. And all I've got to say is that last episode, I got close to crying. It was so beautiful. This is one where it's like, it wasn't even 12 episodes. It was 11 and it was done and over. Perfect. I mean, with a story like this, it doesn't make sense for it to be like hundreds of chapters long. It was short, sweet, to the point, had a beautiful ending, a beautiful message. Cherish the life while you have it, because one day you'll wake up and be 80. And it's just a beautiful thing about this couple who have loved each other for over half a century, sort of rekindling that love, being young again, and the antics they get up to with their family and grandkids, seeing them young again. Overall, an easy 8 out of 10. I want to give it a 10 out of 10, but I'm like, I'll be a little critical, even though I don't really have anything to critique it on. It was beautiful. I absolutely recommend it. Whisper Me a Love Song. Himari Kino is a cheerful and outgoing girl who is able to make friends with anyone she wants. When she enrolls in high school and attends the freshman opening ceremony, Himari falls in love with Yoriya Sanagi. During Yori's band performance and after the show, Himari blurts out her love, and Yori is inexperienced when it comes to romance. I'm sensing a theme. She decides to respond to Himari's confession, and to her surprise, Yori discovers that Himari fell in love with her music and performance rather than Yori as a person. Despite the shock, Yori decides to make Himari truly fall in love with her. The duo spend time together after school on the rooftop, where Yori usually plays guitar and hopes to change Himari's feelings for her. This one is not done yet, but I didn't want to really wait any longer to do this binge cap. I was really looking forward to this one, just because if you don't know, I'm actually, I'd say, a pretty big Yuri fan. As this one has gone on, I've heard things that people talked about, just like, oh, they've completely butchered this anime adaptation, which I guess I could understand. I've seen some of the manga stuff for it, but the way I looked at it, I mean, the story itself, I think, is carrying it, kind of transcends the artwork. The first 3 episodes, though, I think are fucking beautiful. No, not even first 3. I'll say first 5, because once we get to like the midway and it's like the confession comes to fruition, it's a beautiful episode. I foresee myself, once this first season of it is done, I'll probably go into the manga and finish it. If it is finished, it probably isn't. And you know, it's just a beautiful story of these 2 girls falling in love. You know, Himari, who first doesn't really understand romance, which is, I mean, like a common theme for this season, but pretty quickly discovers it, and then they end up in a relationship, which I'll at least give it points for that, for not carrying it on forever. And it kind of sucks that one of the episodes was delayed by a couple weeks, but it's back now, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends. So, Whisper Me a Love Song, I would say, so far, an easy 7, with much room for improvement. Again, 2 more episodes, that will be when I give my final score. I mean, you won't know because I'm not gonna make a follow-up video, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it ends. First thing, the Spice and Wolf remake. I had no idea this was happening until it happened, and honestly, as I heard it was coming out, I was like, I don't really care. I watched Spice and Wolf a while ago, the original one, and I thought it was pretty good. I meant to finish season 2, never did. I heard it got a remake, and I'm just like, does it need one? I mean, I get art-wise, maybe, but the show doesn't look that bad, like looking back on it. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really watched a full episode of this. I have consumed it mainly through clips, because Spice and Wolf is still fairly in recent memory in terms of watching it, so it's like, I don't feel like I need to watch the story again. Oh my god, the remake's 25 episodes? Sheesh. I love reading the reviews about it, because it's like, it goes from someone being like, yes, I fucking love Spice and Wolf, to someone being like, eh, and then like being someone who's like, fuck this show, it's boring. Which, that's pretty much the consensus on Spice and Wolf. I feel like that's the consensus about a lot of things. You either like it, you're indifferent, or you hate it. With this one, I feel like I'm middle of the road. When it comes to the original Spice and Wolf, I enjoyed it for what it was. That's why I never really came back to really finish season 2, because I'm like, I don't really care all that much. So hearing it got a remake, I don't know if it's also adding stuff from the manga. I imagined it is. I assumed that the original Spice and Wolf probably was one out of many that came out around that time, that it probably caught up to the manga at one point, and now that the manga I would hope is done by now, is probably adapting more of that. Honestly, I'm not gonna give a score for this just because I never really watched it. What is my score for the original Spice and Wolf? An 8. I mean, I'll just leave it at that. Overall, Spice and Wolf as a story, I'll just leave it at an 8 out of 10. Maybe someday when it's finished, I'll breeze through some of it. One last one for stuff that's just one-off. One that you can watch my series in which I reacted to it. Kaiju No. 8. I figured I'd talk about it since I didn't really give a score at the end of it. Now it's been a couple days since I finished it. A couple days. It was actually yesterday when the last episode came out. But, well, I guess first of all, I'll give a broad thing for Kaiju No. 8. For those maybe haven't watched it. It's this guy, Hibino Kafka, who's an older man, 32, who wants to join the Kaiju Defense Force. It's this world where it's Pacific Rim, where instead of giant robots being piloted by humans, the humans wear suits and they kill kaiju. And Hibino Kafka, he wants to join the Defense Force, and all of a sudden there's this worm kaiju thing that flies into his mouth, and then he gets the powers of a kaiju. And then, yeah, it's the story about him wanting to join the Defense Force as a human, but he has the powers of a kaiju, which pretty much means he can one-punch other kaijus because he's like one of the strongest ever. And yeah, the balancing act of it. Through doing the reactions for it, I mean, it allowed me to savor it, obviously. Well, kind of. I still sort of breezed through it, even through editing the videos. I did enjoy the characters, I enjoyed the music, and I enjoyed the animation, of course. Other than that, the story, I'm sure it gets better. It's one of those ones where it starts pretty strong. It's probably going to be a while before season 2 of it comes out, and it's one of those ones where how many seasons of this is this going to be, because they started out with a 12-episode season, which, as I said, doing the reaction series. At this point, any show that starts out by only doing 12 episodes of a manga that's a lot longer running, it pretty much is just an advertisement for the manga at that point. And overall, Kaiju No. 8, aside from me doing the reaction series, I'm gonna be honest, I probably will forget about it over time. But then I'll go through my channel and see the playlist and be like, oh yeah, that was a show I watched at one point. So overall, really, I would just leave it at a simple Kaiju No. 8 out of 10. I do still recommend it. It was a pretty cool show. It just is one of those ones where there just feels like you're just dipping your toes in the water. All right, now let's talk about some sequel seasons. We'll start with Hibike Euphonium 3, Sound Euphonium 3. Sound Euphonium, a show that I very recently went through, and by went through, it was more like I breezed through it. Now, Kyoto Animation, the studio who made this and has made a plethora of other shows that a lot of which are my favorite, you know, Clannad, Haruhi Suzumiya, Chunibyo, Violet Evergarden, the list goes on and on. But this is one that, you know, I've heard about and I was like, all right, screw it, I'll watch it. And, I guess this will sort of just be my review of Sound Euphonium as a whole since I've recently finished it. I will say at least I'm glad that season 3 ends and it's like, all right, this is the end. Even though apparently this show has been going on for 9 years. I mean, I saw it's like season 2, like on the thing it said like, oh, this came out in like 2015 or something. I was like, imagine I breezed through it in like 2 weeks. It's the benefit of me being a late blooming anime fan. Again, it's one of those ones where I sort of just like skim watched it. I did enjoy it, which is kind of hard to say after saying that, but it hit a point with the show where I was watching it to finish it rather than watching it to enjoy it. It's like I wanted to see the end, but I didn't really care much about the journey in between. It's just the story about these girls. They join this band. It's kind of dysfunctional at the start, and then eventually it grows, going from seasons 1, 2, 3. And it is a beautiful story. It's a beautiful show. The music, of course, is astonishing. And the main thing that's been going on for over a decade now is just the will they won't they of Reina and Kumiko. The homosexual energy is strong with this one. I mean, the romance side of it, it's practically non-existent, especially by the end. Is it there for some characters? Yeah, but that's not what it's about. It's about the bonds of friendship and music. And season 3 wrapped it out in a very nice, sweet way, with the story coming full circle as well. And again, for nothing else, production-wise, Kyoto absolutely knocked it out of the park once again, finishing out this series. And I do recommend Sound Euphonium for those who have more patience than I, because it was beautiful. And overall, I give it a solid 7 out of 10. I know I just gave it all that praise and gave it a 7, but that's just how I watched it. All right, next one. I guess I'll talk about this. My Hero Academia 7th season. I am watching the show as it's coming out, of course, doing reactions, because My Hero holds such a strong place in my heart. Again, the meme since probably I'd say like season 3 of this show, My Hero has just been on such a downward spiral. The fan base being one of the worst things that this earth has ever spawned. And though I love the show for what it is, I very much separate myself from whatever that hell spawn is. I mean, at this point, I've been watching the show for 8 years. months, even though over the course of the show and the story, it's only been a year and a bit for the character. And actually interesting enough to see that the 7th season is only going to be 21 episodes, which is interesting because since season 2, like every season's been 25 episodes, which is interesting because I feel like with everything that's left to adapt for the manga, the 7th season in theory could be the final season, which seeing that it's 21 episodes as opposed to 25 makes me think that that might be the case, even though the manga still isn't done yet, which does make me scared. I normally don't talk about shows that I'm watching week to week on the channel just because, you know, I'm talking about it week to week, but I feel like for this, it's fine. I mean, granted, it's only been 9 episodes out of 21. I mean, there has been a lot. The first couple episodes really strong with the Star and Stripe little arc. There's like 3 episode stretch where I was just like, yep, this is my hero. And now we're really into it now that we're in like the final battle. The last couple episodes have been absolutely sick, and I cannot wait to see the rest of this that they adapt. I always said that like if season 7 isn't the end, then season 8 definitely. But I mean, with a new movie on the horizon with My Hero, even though I know it's not canon, I am worried a bit for the production of this season, just because that movie looks like it's gonna look fucking phenomenal. I am worried just again with the manga not being fully done yet. I mean, granted, it probably is written at this point, it just hasn't been released and fully done. I mean, since last season, it made me wonder that what if they try to line it up so that the manga and the anime end around the same time, so that everybody can be there together at the end of My Hero, which I always said is just like, you are running a really strong risk there. But now seeing where the manga's at and where the anime's at, it's like it might actually happen. I have no idea, but we'll get there when we get there. I don't want to give a score for this just because this season's still really fresh and there's still a long ways to go, but I figured I'd drop just my midway opinion on it. All right, last 2 we'll talk about. The long anticipated Konosuba season 3. It's been a while since I did my binge of Konosuba. Holy shit. This show is so fucking good. And this season just absolutely cemented that even more. It was cool with this season because like season 1, I would say was more focused on Aqua and Kazuma, obviously, because that's where the story started. Season 2 in the movie, I would more say was kind of focused a lot more on Megumi. And this season was focused very heavily on Darkness. So it's kind of cool seeing that whole balance of it. I mean, I'm not going to be talking too much about story because you know what we're really here for with Konosuba. This show is so fucking funny. I'd say the 2 gags that really got me the most with this one was the couple of times where there was just long pauses after someone would say something. I'm sure it happened a lot with me and other people where it would happen and we just had to check, be like, did my thing just pause or something? There was one point where there was like a 20-second pause because it was after Kazuma died, and it's just like a 20-second pause of him just being like, I'm sorry. I would say, honestly, this might be my favorite season so far. I mean, it is very fresh, and it's been a little while since I watched the first 2 seasons, but holy shit, the gags and the editing and the jokes in this season were so fucking funny. And even like some of the action, the story, what ReZero did in terms of drama and mystery for the isekai genre, Konosuba absolutely has done for the comedy. It's easily one of the funniest anime I've ever watched, if not the funniest. And honestly, the development and stuff it gave for both Kazuma and Darkness for this season was absolutely great. Darkness has always kind of been my favorite of the party. That was kind of cool, giving her some character development, some stuff to do. And yeah, I just can't wait to see more of this absolutely crazed, insane story and show. It's just so fucking funny. 10 out of 10. And here we are, the final thing of the shows I watched this season. Possibly the biggest one for me personally. And in terms of series I've reacted on the channel, possibly the most well-received series I have ever done, aside from maybe ReZero, because I did really well as well. A series I hold so much emotional attachment for. That being, of course, Date Alive Season 5. I debated whether or not I wanted to actually talk about this because if you pay attention to the channel for the last couple months, it's pretty much been nothing but Date Alive. Because I did my whole rewatch of rewatching the first 4 seasons again, as well as doing season 5 week to week. But I kind of wanted to talk about it because when I did my final reaction to the last episode of season 5 last week, I didn't really take in the fact that that was possibly the end of Date Alive. I wasn't as emotional as I probably would have if I knew for certain that was the end, mainly because I didn't know for for certain. I've been told leading up to that point that there's more to adapt. So I was like, oh, then for sure there's gonna be a 6th season. But the way it ends, it's like season 5 probably could be the end. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it is the end. It was the be-all end-all of Date A Live. All of the major story beats were wrapped out in this season, though there is more. The anime doesn't need to continue. Like, if it does, it probably will just be in like OVAs or maybe even a movie, like I kind of hope it will be, maybe. So that's why in my ending thing, it's like I kept talking like, when I know there's more, like it's hard for me to be like, oh, well, I'm sad. Overall though, season 5 of Date A Live, the first like 8 episodes were both insanely hype and awesome, and also depressing as hell. It was the Jujutsu Kaisen My Hero Academia war arc for Date A Live, but it was balanced out with the last 4 episodes being a return to form, Era unde Date Live, and for a show that I have been watching probably close to a decade at this point, for it being a series that for a while I've said is my guilty pleasure, but in more recent times I've now said that I don't feel guilty about it at all, especially doing the rewatch on the channel. I fucking love this show. Will it ever get the love and attention it truly deserves? No, because like the first 2 seasons do have some intense ecchi vibes, well, not even vibes, it's fully in your face, whereas going into a lot of the later seasons it goes away. But even still, in terms of romance, action, the English dub being phenomenal, season 5 for me was an easy 10 out of 10. Though I will continuously hope and pray that they adapt the remainder of Date A Live, whatever is left for it. Because until I get an absolute concrete thing from someone being like, there will be no more of the anime. If you want to see the ending, read the light novel. I'm not gonna do that unless you tell me that there's not gonna be any more. But until then, I'll wait 2 more years. But yeah, man. That about does it for the spring 2024 anime season. So, what do we have to look forward to for the summer 2024 season? Oh, of course, Oshinoko Season 2, the Suicide Squad Isekai, Megami no Cafe Terrace 2nd season. I don't know why I'm excited for that. And a bunch of other one-off stuff that looks interesting. But in terms of sequel stuff, it's really Oshinoko, and that's it. You know, there's some one-off stuff here that I've seen trailers for and whatnot that I'm looking forward to season. Oshinoko does actually start on, oh my god, it starts on Wednesday. Because it says the 3rd, but is that 3rd Japan Standard Time or American Standard Time? Either way, I do actually plan to watch Oshinoko on the channel. I mean, I've already watched the 1st season, but I want to watch season 2 as it comes out. Well, if it comes out on Wednesday, that'll be the perfect thing to replace Date A Live. Replace my Wednesday slot. But other than that, the spring 2024 anime season was absolutely insane. There was so much that came out. I just realized they show hentai here on Mal for stuff that's coming out. Gonna be an interesting season. This was a really huge season for anime. A lot of sequel seasons that came out. There was some fun one-off stuff. And yeah, join me in the next 12 to 13 weeks when we discuss the summer 2024 season. Probably by that point we'll be in like September, October, as there will be plenty more stuff for us to discuss in the next binge cap. But either way, this was my spring 2024 binge cap. Join me for many other videos where be the future anime reviews, reactions, gameplay, and anything else that'll be coming out soon. Until next time, I'm Lancer. Thanks for watching.